Welcome, everybody. Welcome to 2026 and the new journey that we're on astrologically. So, my name is Colleen Jorgensen, and my business is Spiritual Journey. So, today we are going to talk about January 18th and the new moon at the latter degrees of Capricorn, 28 degrees. And this is the second of what I believe a series of new moons that are really important in the shifting atmosphere of us changing from one era into the next era. This new moon kind of reminds me of the death of an era, walking towards the gallows, kind of that stepping through the last part of the birthing process. And so we can see a lot of planets at the end of the signs in this new moon, which begins on January 18th at 12:52 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11:52 Pacific Standard Time, at 1:52 Central Standard Time and 2:52 Eastern Standard Time. So Saturn is ruling this new moon of Capricorn, and Saturn is about boundaries. It's about the rules and the limitations that we have on ourselves personally, that we lock ourselves in this box or we adhere to some sort of regulatory system of not crossing certain lines. And in some ways, it can place hardship on us because we don't have the ability to navigate or move around through these regulatory systems. Now, this can include governments, corporations, regulatory systems that are difficult. First off, if you've ever tried to contact a government entity, good luck with that. Especially in the last 2 years, like you can't get through in Canada anyway. And so it's hard to navigate because Saturn has also been in the sign of Pisces for the last 2.5 years. So lines around countries or boundaries or limitations are pretty much non-existent with that energy. People overstep their authority. Russia steps into Ukraine as if there is no boundary there. Different people step into different countries as if there is no sovereignty or that there is no line around that entity. It's really challenging. It has been really challenging because two things have happened. We've had Saturn really close to the planet of Neptune, which creates a really weird reality, but it also really creates this strange governorship of those people in positions of authority that are supposed to be guiding us and leading us into comfort and safety. And yet it's hard to deal with because they just change the rules. The rules just vanish and reappear, and it becomes really distorted, and there is no guidelines that are comforting to us. So the regulations and the laws and all of those, they just begin to wash away, and we really don't have anything under our feet because Saturn rules structures and the infrastructure, and we don't really have any stability. And the landscape is shifting in 2026. And our reality is shifting and our perceptions are changing. And the belief system is sort of like unreal. Can you believe that really, really happened? Many of us are kind of shaking our heads, but we're also like drawing inward with this new reality that is emerging. Now, the United States could really, really feel this because the United States has a Pluto at 27 degrees of Capricorn. So this Pluto is also going to be triggered, which can affect the governments in the United States, corporations, leaderships, people in positions of authority. That change is emerging, right? And Pluto also rules things like the taxes, the financial stability, big wealth in some of those establishments. And how is that unfolding in the United States? Now, when you get Saturn and Pluto together, you really get this really strange reality. And also, we get a reality that dissolves, and leadership can just be gone, like somebody can just vanish off the face of the earth. But this Saturn Neptune is also triggering what we call in astrology the magic trine or the mini trine that is forming and has already formed in August of 2025, will reappear in the sky, and it's kind of in and out on July 7th of 2026 and again on June of 2027. And this is a powerful little energy because all the outer planets are involved. And at the midpoint is Saturn and Neptune. And Saturn and Neptune have been doing this little dance, and they will come together exact at 00 degrees of Aries on February 20th of this year. And that will be the beginning of maybe a really strange reality emerging in the world. But it's in Aries, and it can be kind of fear of the unknown because of Neptune being there. Most people are looking to it as something that is positive. Young, new, fresh leaders emerging, fresh perspectives, and not so weird and strange as what has been evolving in our world over the last 2 years. But we are going to start to feel the land shift, right? So flooding or those types of things have still been occurring. And we've had a lot of, unpredictability. Is the unpredictability going to end with this new moon? No, because the moon is in trine to Uranus, and Uranus now is back in Taurus at 27 degrees. And Uranus at this new moon is at a standstill as it prepares to go station direct. So this makes the energy of Uranus and that unpredictable energy heightened. And it's also sitting on a very evil star called Algol, which is called the demon star. It was feared by many ancient civilizations because it represents Medusa's head, the cutting off of her head. It is about beheadings or heads are rolling, someone is losing their head, and there's a real focus on the head and the way we think. The trine gives the leeway, the permission, by the ease by which we can do something. And so alcohol is very unpredictable. It produces misfortune, can produce violence, riots, protests, airplane term, turbulence or airplane problems. It can produce like electrical grid problems, seismic activity, earthquakes. So really, it shakes things up, and we really need to stay alert to that. Now, trines and all this beautiful energy that comes through some of these aspects that most astrologers believe to be positive can actually just, as I've already mentioned, give the latitude, the ease by which something can take place. And the trine to Uranus from the new moon in the sign of Capricorn can give that leeway of this sudden activity or permission for that to happen and get away with them. So Venus rules Uranus because Uranus is back in Taurus. And so Venus is now at 1 degree of Aquarius in mutual reception with Uranus. So you have this blending of energies between Venus and Uranus, and this sudden connections, sudden relationships that just combine certain people coming together unexpectedly. But it can also create this need and this sudden opportunity for liberation, to break free, as we've seen the energies begin to emerge in Iran. So it's the push, the latitude, the ease by which something can suddenly change, and somebody's head's going to roll. So it's innovation and it's excitement for that freedom as the lines blur and there is no regulations or no restrictions in place. Estrella is here sitting beside, right on top of this new moon, which is about justice. She's about purity and innocence and truth and hope, idealism, possibilities. And so it seems that this moon is essential for the death of something, the rebirth of something, but it's very essential, and embedded here is freedom, the autonomy within our own lives to act according to our own governorship, not being told all the time what we must and must not do. Now, Venus and Mars are in a superior conjunction with the sun, and they are outside behind the sun, which makes them not visible. So who is that alliance, that partner that you can't see, but is definitely working in your best interest? And we may not know this until February of this year. So bracketing this new moon is Mars, Mercury, and Venus. And so it's kind of like protecting to some degree. It's holding in place a certain energy. And so therefore, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We really actually don't know what is going on at all. There are hidden elements that certain individuals in positions of authority can really be using to undermine and to use to their advantage. Secrets are at play here. And there was one astrologer that kind of talked about how it reminded him of the Watergate scandal. You know, Maduro, for example, Venezuela, and Uranus and Algol all together in this separation from the country of his governorship, and the freedom that some of the Venezuela people perceive to be a wonderful moment. But old orders are disintegrating, and new younger leaders are about to take the helm. So we have this huge stellium that includes and is part of the Capricorn stellium of Mars and Mercury and Astrea and the new moon. And then, because it's so close, we have Venus and Pluto. And this is a big concentration of energy that is just sitting in one place, in one location. And Saturn and Neptune, because that magic trine is triggered, which is going to be linked to July, there's kind of this double emphasis of these two planets. And Neptune is at 29 degrees. It's going to shift into the new sign of Aries on the 26th of January, and followed very closely after by Saturn on February 14th, I believe it is, on Valentine's Day. So we at this time don't know exactly where information is being hidden from us. We don't know what things look like at this point. We're only speculating. We're filling in this gap of time that is the unknown with possibilities. And so this definitely indicates to me that there are back things going on here that are really quite significant in the future of humanity because of Aquarius. And it involves business, corporations, government leaderships, and the structure that holds us all together. And are we being led down to the gallows by some belief that is a lie? A hidden lie or a misconception that doesn't exist. Now, Black Moon Lilith is involved here, and she also has leeway. She is sextiling this new moon, and she is trining this vague Neptune Saturn combination of disbelief. Now, Black Moon Lilith doesn't follow the rules. She, of course, wants to do what she wants to do. She's in the sign of Sagittarius, and that's the legal system, the court system, and the truth. But she is allowing things to manifest that are really not acceptable in our society. And within the traditional ways of how we've always operated, there are undercurrents of falsehoods. Again, something is trying to be released here. Information is trying to get out or trying to get straightened out. So if you're in legal battles, if you're in disputes with someone in a position of authority, things are coming to the surface. Things are coming forward. You know, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is really like oil and gas and the building of that, the currency of that. Our system is dependent on that. And here we have this turning a blind eye to certain activities, like the United States stepping into another country and seizing that, holding governorship all of a sudden over that commodity, and then seizing it on the high seas, which is Neptune. So this Venus that rules Uranus and is heading towards Pluto just a couple days, just the day after this new moon. And I liken this to the gong ringing, uh, the bell, the big church bells ringing, and or the gong being struck like as a warning or as the beginning of something. Now, this ringing, this vibrational energy is going to be struck first with Venus and Pluto. These are new cycles that are about to begin shortly after this new moon. So we have Venus and Pluto. Now remember, Pluto is related to big well. It's related to uh, debt, deficit, the financial worlds. It is related to who is in control, who is orchestrating this big orchestra. And every planet has this vibration. Like the universe is an orchestra, a symphony of music. And Pluto is deadly at times. It rules the underworld and the king of the underworld and the brother of Zeus. Pluto is in the reform position now, and Persephone, his wife, has more latitude at this point. So we get this great need to transform humanity. We have this great need to rebirth something, to end something. So on the 19th, Venus connects. We have a change in relationships. We have transformational energy that begins to move through. And even in the financial sectors, this will have an impact. And then we have Mercury joining Pluto, the second gong on January 22nd. This is new information is unfolding, new things are emerging within the Aquarius energy, which is very much about freedom and liberation, independence. And then we have the sun joining Pluto, which gives a great deal of power behind those people in those positions of authority. But the sun joining Pluto can also indicate some sort of health crisis also in those. The same with Mercury and Pluto could dig out information, bring up secrets that we were unaware of. And so some leader could actually go into some sort of crisis around January 23rd. And then the final gonging of this bell happens on January 27th as Mars moves across Pluto, which can trigger a whole revolution, which can trigger the need to separate, the need for people to come together. And Mars is active. Now we're not just thinking about it. There isn't just the desire for it. There isn't the collaboration with others to get it going. Now it's going to happen. So this is a building of energy for change, a building of energy for equality, equal rights, humanity. And it's interesting because Pluto also kidnaps things. And there's power, control, and there's a deep seated, because this is a new moon, need for profound change within relationships, within alliances. Powerful, the merging of this energy is just uh, astounding. Mercury and Pluto can create new negotiations, deep conversations, powerful voices, powerful speeches being made. The Sun and Pluto can indicate power struggles, people in positions trying to maintain control, powerful leaders coming together. And Mars is going to activate all this, and action is going to be taken, which can create and put into motion the energy of this new moon. So Saturn and Neptune are like a catalyst of the dream unfolding, as it is the midpoint of some of this energy. The dream that we have as humans, of people, to be treated equally, fairly, and not to be led astray by somebody who has power over us. So old culture, old traditions are dissolving, and a new way of life and the seeds are being planted. The gestation is just emerging, and infancy of the new is just beginning. It's a cradle of sorts, like the birth of a baby, and a new idea, a new way of life. And it's like the ringing of the old order is beginning to dissolve. But yet, with this new moon, we are still trying to restructure. We are still swept up in the illusions and the belief that something exists that doesn't exist. So that's this powerful new moon at the end of January, on January 18th, which really rides itself all the way through. We're entering a very powerful period right now. And the next new moon on the 17th of February is going to usher in the Chinese New Year and the fire horse, which does not align with the matrix and the customs and traditions. And then we also have our first Aquarius eclipse happening on that day. And then it's a new moon. So another really powerful new moon energy that is emerging in February. And Saturn and Neptune will both come together in alignment at that very important cardinal point at 00 degrees of Aries, which indicates the entire world is involved. So I wish you all the best. I hope you keep it connected with me. And if you're looking for a personal reading, please reach out to me at accsj@live.ca via email. So take care. Happy New Year, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.